Hi everyone, this is Workbox Tuesday. Sorry for the background. I'm doing the video on my kitchen because I'm about to cook dinner. I'm going to start with my preschooler. So for his workbox for today, he did his calendar page. He practiced his name. He's still doing that. And he did handwriting practice from A through Z. He did a page on the same, just coloring the pictures that were the same, and that was on both sides. He went on a search and find for his letter of the week, which was the letter D. Then we did some phonics. So for phonics, I brought these back out. So he did his alphabet just by sounds. He's starting with his add. So we went through the list today for the first time. And he's doing the phonics with the letter of the week, which is D. And then we went on to reading. The first book I have him read is Letter D book, so he just read this to me. Then we went over his words, and the only ones I have in here are the ones from Lesson 1 and Lesson 2. And then I made him this little eye stick. And the little eye stick, he's having trouble just learning that he needs to keep his finger under the letter. So pretty much I just have him hold the eye to look at the words. So he pretty much reads now using his little eye stick. In today's lesson, we went over Lesson 2, and I began the words for Lesson 3. So we did not start the story yet. We're just going over the words. And that was what he did for reading. For math, I had him do an activity today. So for math, all I did was I had these little things I made, and I just hot glued the chenille stem to the back. And before I did that, I had put like a sticker dot on it, and then I taped it so that I can just pretty much erase it and redo it and reuse it for different things. We were working on odd and even today. I know he just turned 5, but I figured I'd start just teaching him the concept of it. So I had him just put whatever numbers I had on here, and he had to put one on each side until he got to the end, and then tell me if there was, even or an odd. So he's starting to grasp what it is, but he still doesn't know it. So he'll be doing this for a few more days during the week just to get him accustomed to it. So anyways, that's what I did for my preschooler. Okay, so now it's my first grader. So I'm going to start with language arts. So for language arts, he did another review on his vowels, and he just did the page front. And this one's for long vowels and short vowels. And then he did a reading comprehension. So he did his next page where he just reads the story and then puts the number of events. Actually, I'm pointing to, sorry about that, I'm pointing to the wrong one. That's funny. Okay, so he read the story and then he answered the questions. That's what he did today. Sorry about that. It's kind of funny. The next thing he did was his riddle. So today's riddle was, what letter of the alphabet has the most water? This one kind of stumped him, which was funny. So I asked him, what has water? So we talked about the ocean and the sea. He still didn't get it. So I wrote C there, and then I just had him, name the letters. And when he got to C, he's like, oh! So then he just wrote the letter C. So that's what he did for today. Then he picked his reading book for today. Let's see if I can. And he did Why Should I Listen? So he, I guess, drew a picture of himself. For phonics, we played beehives. So basically, you just roll the dice. You pick your counters and you place them on the bee. You roll your dice, and whatever you land on, you have to make the phonics sound for it. So he won this game. For writing, he did his 180 days, and he had started this yesterday and did it wrong, so he just ended up fixing it. So that's all he did today. And then we did a read out loud. It's called Everybody Needs a Rock. So we went through the whole story, and then after the story, he started a pre-writing activity. So depending on what the rules of the book were, because the little girl had rules to find a rock, he chose his everybody needs a tree. So with his, he just basically wrote rules of why everybody needs a tree, and I did not focus on spelling or grammar or anything because this is his rough draft. So tomorrow he will be fixing his capitals, his punctuation, and his spelling to finish off the activity for the book. So that was his language arts. For math, we worked on the flashcards, and these are the flashcards that I bought from Christian Light. So he's got his new ones and he's got his old ones, so he did his flashcards. I had him find where 51 would start and then go from 51 to 75. And then he did his lesson on his book, and it is lesson 22. So he's still doing his tens, his new facts, story problem, what numbers in between, dictation, and all these he does by himself. Now for here, where's his money cup, which is this one. That's his money cup, and I made it for him. It used to be an M&M's container. What I had him do was actually, I told him 9 dimes, and he just has to figure out to put 9 dimes in here and then count how much money that is and just put it on there. So that's what he did today. Then he did some facts. He's still working on the number line, underlining what is less and what is greater than there, and before and after here. And then that was it for the lesson for math. Then we went on to history. For history, I had him review his months, put them in order, which he did perfect with that. We talked about fiction and nonfiction, so he had to color his nonfiction a certain color and then color his fiction a certain color. And because of that, we read George Washington. So he had to tell me if this was a nonfiction or a fiction book, and then I read him about George Washington. And then we worked on portraits of a good citizen. So we just read through the chapter, which gave him like different, like fairness and inventiveness and civic virtue, etc. And then he just had to work on his worksheet. So he had to figure out what picture ended up being what vocabulary word. So that was it. That's what he did for history, and this is everything that he did in his workbox for Tuesday. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, just leave them down below. Thanks.